Let's switch it up today. Let's react to something different a little bit. Switch it up. Uh, I gotta be something to watch. Internet's darkest videos. Oh yeah, this gonna be fire. I already know this gonna be fire. Same. Oh, stream can't hear. I'm tripping. My fault, y'all. My fault. That's on me.
City since 2006 without a serious incident. But on this particular day, something was different. He was distracted. Surveillance footage captured him looking away from the tracks, smiling and gesturing, completely unaware of the tragedy that was about to unfold. At the same time, Phelan Smith, a 37-year-old mother, accidentally dropped her phone on the railway tracks, the very same tracks where the operator's train was approaching. You can see her searching for it in the CCTV footage on screen. And when she finally spotted the phone, she made a split-second decision to climb down and retrieve it. As she did, a nearby security guard warned her to get off the tracks. But with the noise of the busy station, it's unclear if she heard him. She grabbed her phone and rushed towards a service ladder, but it was too late. Meanwhile, the train operator remained distracted. In an instant, his demeanor changed as he realized what just happened. His train had just collided with Phelan Smith, who did not survive. On July 3rd, 2019, the CTA announced the termination of the train operator, citing a violation of operational guidelines. Surveillance clearly revealed that he was not paying full attention to his duties. However, it remains unclear whether, even if the operator had seen Phelan Smith earlier, he could have stopped in time. Nonetheless, Phelan's sister, Brandy Martin, expressed outrage, not only at the train operator, but also at the lack of action from bystanders and security personnel.
Why didn't she just wait and they blamed it on him? I ain't gonna lie, this situation crazy. I ain't gonna lie. He could have got worse than that though. Like he could have went to jail. At least he didn't go to jail. He just got terminated. Because you gotta think, a railroad track like that, you can pretty much see the tracks in front of you. You gotta literally not be looking to see somebody like be down. But then again, I'm thinking in his position, he literally looked probably in like as he is approaching the tracks. Nobody, she didn't do it yet, and then right when he looked away, she did it. She was kind of very. I don't want to be disrespectful, but that was kind of dumb. Like God forgive me, but like I don't think anyone should have would ever should jump down on a track moving train track to try to quickly get your phone. Like your phone is not that. It's not worth your life. Your phone is just not worth your life. Let that junk go.
personnel.
I knew what the last 18 seconds of her life was like, but I'm traumatized. I'm hurt. I'm disappointed.
Sadly, incidents like this are not isolated. Chicago's railways have seen several major accidents over the years. In 2014, a Blue Line rail operator fell asleep while guiding a train into O'Hare Station. Surveillance footage shows the train hurtling past the end of the tracks and crashing up an escalator, leaving over 30 people injured.
The female operator now admits she fell asleep at the controls and didn't wake up until moments before the crash.
Though two of the city's worst rail disasters occurred decades earlier.
See, this is another thing. It says she fell asleep. That's how you. This is how you know, like the economy is like bad, because, like, you got people who literally working like every single day, and like literally they are just like tiring themselves out and falling asleep at a train track station. That's crazy.
In 1972, a catastrophic collision between two commuter trains resulted in the loss of 45 lives and left over 330 injured. Then, in 1977, a derailment in the central business district caused over 180 injuries and claimed 11 lives. Even with advancements in safety and awareness, accidents like these, though less severe, continue to happen, serving as a harsh reminder of the ever-present risks on our railways.
Got onions on this burger, and I don't think
Volcanic eruptions have shaped the Earth throughout history, leaving behind unimaginable destruction and triggering mass extinctions, nearly wiping out all life on the planet. And in 2019, this destructive force was unleashed once again. This is Stephanie Broward, alongside her father, Paul, and her sister, Crystal. On December 9th in 2019, her father was out behind. Volcanic eruptions have shaped the Earth throughout history, leaving behind unimaginable destruction and triggering mass extinctions, nearly wiping out all life on the planet. And in 2019, this destructive force was unleashed once again. This is Stephanie Broward, alongside her father, Paul, and her sister, Crystal. On December 9th in 2019, they were on vacation in New Zealand, on board the Ovation of the Seas, a Royal Caribbean cruise. A cruise that would take them here, White Island, one of the country's most active volcanoes. Yes, the entire island is literally a volcano. And so Stephanie and her family soon docked at the shore, greeted with what felt like an entirely different world, shown in the footage on screen. The island felt lifeless but full of energy, with massive towering grey rocks and clouds of steam that came from its many hot springs. At the center of the island was a massive crater filled with a steaming acidic.
Hold on, y'all. I'm about to go get some barbecue sauce. Let's get some barbecue sauce real quick. Second.
Lake. The tour guides would lead visitors to this point before returning back to the shore. By now, Stephanie and her family were enjoying the experience. They had just started walking away from the crater when Stephanie paused to take a photo. But as she lined up the shot, she noticed something unusual. Black smoke rising from the lake. Then, moments later, she heard a tour guide shout, "Run." At 2:11 p.m., the volcano erupted. A massive shockwave sent people to the ground as an acidic cloud of poisonous gas, boiling water, and ash shot 12,000 feet into the air. In seconds, almost everyone was engulfed in scorching smoke. The island became an oven, and those closest to the lake lost their lives instantly. Stephanie could barely breathe, her entire body overwhelmed by the heat of the toxic fumes. Time stood still. Until, at last, the smoke started to lift, exposing the full scale of this disaster. She and her family needed immediate medical attention. The aftermath was catastrophic. Stephanie had third-degree burns to 70% of her body and ended up receiving skin grafts from 12 different people. And tragically, both Crystal and Paul succumbed to their injuries. In total, 22 people out of the 47 on the island during the eruption lost their lives. And what followed was a grueling recovery process for all survivors. Stephanie later appeared on 60 Minutes to talk about her experience and honor her sister, Crystal, and her father, Paul, as she adjusted to life after the tragedy.
I
Crazy.
push forward not only for myself, but for my mum, my dad, and my sister.
She also went on to take legal action against Royal Caribbean, stating they hadn't sufficiently warned her and others of the dangerous recent activity observed of the volcano. Only a week prior, boiling mud had been seen flying close to 100 feet in the air, a level of activity not seen since its last eruption in 2016. However, such information was not adequately disclosed to the cruise's tourists. Ultimately, Royal Caribbean settled with Stephanie for an undisclosed amount, and in the end, all visits to White Island were suspended. Today, this incident serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers of eruptions, and it begs the question, which volcano will be next?
Crazy.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
STS-51L, NASA's 25th Space Shuttle mission. The Challenger launch on January 28, 1986 was a major spectacle, watched live by countless people. With a crew of 7, their goal was to deploy a tracking and data relay satellite, and to also study Halley's Comet as it went past the Sun. What also made this flight so interesting to the public was that one of the crew was actually just a civilian, not a trained scientist or astronaut. This was Krista McAuliffe, a teacher from Concord, New Hampshire. She was part of the Teacher in Space project.
To be honest, I don't think I'm going out of space. I used to want to, but not no more. I'll skydive, but not outer space. I'll save that one for you, babe. I'm not going outer space. I don't know. It's certain things about outer space that I just don't even understand. And then on top of that, it's certain things that people who study outer space every single day of their whole life, they also don't understand stuff up there. So you taking a chance every time you try to go to space. You taking a chance that's way bigger than the chance of skydiving. Nah. Mm-mm. My questions will be answered, but I think my questions can stay unanswered for my life. I don't know. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe my decision will change or my I don't know. Maybe I'll change my feeling on it later on, but not right now. Mm-mm.
Chosen from 11,000 applicants who wanted to
Nah,
take part in the flight. As a result, she received a lot of media coverage.
The president said the first private citizen is going to be a teacher. I remember Steve saying, well, you've got to apply. This would be wonderful.
Did you think you
I'll be honest. This Shake Shack stuff, never again. I'm never getting it again. Never again.
had even a prayer?
I really didn't. I was almost doing it kind of like when you play the lottery. If you don't play it, you don't win.
And to support the teacher, schools throughout the USA showed the launch live.
I don't like it. Like, the fries is not good. That seasoning that they got, it looks like it's supposed to be salty, and then when you bite into it, it's almost just like a funnel cake type of feeling, like a funnel cake type of frosting. And I don't like that. It don't got much flavor. And then the burger is good, but it got too. I don't like burgers that got too much of a smoky type of taste to it. Like it got like a smoke. It's good, but the burgers got like a too much of a smoky taste. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I like it. The onion rings is good though. If the onion rings was more fresh, they'd be even better than what they is right now. See, this like fresh off the stove, probably all of this is probably good. But like getting it delivered, nah. Yeah, Swenson's is way better than this shit. Excuse my language. This is dog water compared to Swenson's. I'm gonna be honest. This is like a wannabe Swenson's, and it's not even close. It's trash.
To students in their classes. Meanwhile, watching the flights in person was many of the crew's friends and families, as well as others who attended the event on that cold winter's day. Here you can see Barbara Morgan, the backup civilian applicant who would fill in for Krista if she couldn't make the flight. Together, as the Challenger launched into the air, everyone watched in awe. And eventually, shock and horror.
Oh wait, what happened?
And eventually, shock and horror.
Picture you were just seeing was Christy McCullough's parents watching in horror. These are the students from her school. No, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. So I get down. You may not realize yet what has happened.
That's another thing, babe. You want to go to space? You gotta think. There's like probably okay. I'm thinking that just think real quick. Let's just think real quick. So just one spaceship, to get one spaceship built, there's probably a lot of time that goes into it. There's probably about like 80 different families that work on one spaceship. 80 different families, with 20 of them being experts at exactly what they do, and they do a real good job at it. 20 of those families work on that same rocket to make sure that it's top notch, it's safe, and it doesn't blow up. And what do you know? After all of that meticulous work, studying, researching, it still blows up. So that goes to show that even things that aren't supposed to blow up can blow up. I know I do. My space shuttle has a great rocket attached to it. Send you up there for real. But these spaceships out here in this world, meticulously built perfection, and they still blow up.
You see concern etched on their faces. The breath that they've been holding released. And then the realization sets in that something is wrong.
73 seconds into the flight, at an altitude of 46,000 feet, the craft broke apart, showering the area in debris for more than an hour. The entire crew had passed away. People were shocked, horrified, and absolutely devastated. What should have been a proud moment for the nation, the crew and their friends and families, became a heartbreaking disaster. Following the incident, wreckage of the vehicle was recovered, including the crew's cabin, which remarkably remains largely intact during the breakup. This suggests that the crew likely survived the initial destruction, as the cabin shielded them from immediate harm. However, upon impact with the ocean, determining the exact causes of their passing became impossible. According to NASA, it's believed that they succumbed to oxygen deprivation, or the force of the impact shortly thereafter. The last recorded words of the crew were, "uh-oh," said by pilot Michael Smith, less than a second before the shuttle broke up. All data after this point was lost, though evidence retrieved from the cabin's wreckage suggested that at least 3 emergency air packs had been activated out of the 4 recovered. It's disturbing to think that even some of the crew may have actually been conscious as the cabin fell. And the darkest part? This was all avoidable. According to NASA, the shuttle's breakup was the result of a leak in one of the 2 solid rocket boosters that ignited the main liquid fuel tank. What are known as O-rings were supposed to prevent such a leak, but the cold temperatures that day actually resulted in them not creating a seal. So if it had just been warmer, this incident likely wouldn't have occurred. Though what's this?
See? Something so little in detail, right? Like literally. Something just like the temperature of the day can cause a rocket to blow up. The temperature of the day can cause a rocket to blow up. The temperature.
Especially disturbing is that prior to the launch, engineers had actually been voicing concerns about the seal's reliability for over 2 years. In fact, they'd even warned this could be a major issue the night just before the takeoff, pushing for the launch to be delayed due to cold weather. But authorities overruled them, and so if these engineers had been listened to, 7 lives could have been saved. Following what happened, in an attempt to prevent such disasters from occurring again, NASA implemented stricter safety protocols and introduced significant changes to its safety oversight. Nonetheless, the widespread media coverage and the live broadcast, Krista being set to become the first civilian to go to space, and the failure of authorities to listen to the warnings from their engineers, made this launch's disaster all the more tragic. Even 40 years later, the lives and bravery of Francis Goby, Michael Smith, Alison Onizuka, Judith Resnick, Ronald McNair, Gregory Jarvis, and Krista McAuliffe aren't forgotten.
We mourn their loss as a nation together. The families of the 7, we cannot bear as you do the full impact of this tragedy. But we feel the loss, and we're thinking about you so very much.
It's crazy. Bro, I'm not eating this.
February 24th, 2010, Dawn Branchow, an orca trainer at SeaWorld Orlando, was preparing for her next big show. You see, SeaWorld was well known for their elaborate performances with Shamu, who would perform all kinds of entertaining tricks and stunts. It was a show that brought many to the park. Though in reality, Shamu was actually a name used for several different orcas over the years. One of them, who Dawn was about to perform with, was named Tilikum. At over 12,500 pounds and over 22 feet long, he wasn't just massive, he was dangerous. Because Tilly had a dark history with humans, and had actually attacked several different people in the past. Two of them, Kelty Byrne and Daniel Dukes, didn't survive. Kelty, a part-time trainer, accidentally fell into the pool housing Tilly, while Daniel, a trespasser, entered the orca's tank after hours. And yet, here we were, preparing for another show with this apex predator. Now, despite the dangers of her job, Dawn genuinely cared for the animals she worked with, considering them like her own children. Her passion for orcas had been a lifelong dream, one she had nurtured since the age of 10. By 40, with 15 years of experience at SeaWorld, she'd become a prominent trainer, widely respected for her dedication.
Obviously, they're giving out a lot of energy too, but we're working together and having a lot of fun as well. You're amazing. Thank you. You really are.
But soon this dream was about to be completely torn apart.
Yeah, I can believe that. If I was a whale and I'm trapped inside of a zoo, consistently having to put on a show for people, I would probably like want to break out eventually too. I mean, like, wouldn't we all not want to be trapped in a cage our whole life?
The day was already off to a bad start. A previous show had to be ended prematurely because the orcas were agitated and chasing each other. And now Dawn was up for the next one, called Dine with Shamu. In the footage on screen, you can see Dawn working with Tilly. Now, it doesn't appear like anything has gone seriously wrong, but there are some subtle problems with the performance. The orca wasn't quite following his training. When Dawn blew a whistle to call Tilly back for feeding, he ignored her and kept repeating the previous trick. Clearly something was off. But the show continued, and ultimately nothing went seriously wrong. Until it was over. You see, following the performance, Dawn stayed by the shallow end of the pool to spend some time with the orca. At this point, even though the show had finished, people were still watching. Some from the cafe, which is where this video was filmed, and some from an underground viewing area. Now, Tilly was trained to also swim down to the window and greet the visitors. And so Dawn, knowing that people were still watching from down there, gave the orca the signal to go say hi. But that's not what would happen. Instead, Tilly grabbed Dawn, did a barrel roll, and dragged her under. The visitors watched in horror as the orca unleashed its strength on Dawn, thrashing her around in front of them.
Do you know so you don't know if the person was injured or if they're having a medical problem?
No idea.
Okay, very well then.
I don't even think they're out of the water yet. They're still in there with the whale, so...
Okay, but
That's
someone is
terrifying,
on scene and they are getting them out of the water now.
There are people working on it,
scary
yes.
too.
About 2-3 dozen people over there right now.
Now, at some point, Dawn found an opportunity to break free and made for the edge of the pool, but it was no use. Tilly seized her again, dragging her back under. Onlookers could only watch in helpless terror as the nightmare unfolded before their eyes. It was one of the most disturbing things they had ever seen.
And how many folks are in the viewing area with you?
At least 30.
And these are guests?
These are all guests and education members
Okay.
and photographers who are getting ready to take the picture for the people that booked the tour.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what happens?
And then basically I saw him pull her in. I saw her in the water, so I knew that he had her.
After what felt like an eternity, finally, Dawn was pulled away from Tilly and out of the water. I won't get into the details of her injuries, though I will say they were devastating.
Orange County Sheriff's Office.
We need SO to respond for a person at SeaWorld. A whale is one of the trainers.
A whale, one of the trainers?
That's correct.
Ultimately, Dawn had drowned. I can't even imagine how horrifying those final moments must have been for Dawn, overpowered by an orca, an animal she deeply cared for, in front of a crowd who couldn't do anything to help. As a result of this tragic incident,
It's like, what makes that whale like just do that? It gotta be being trapped inside of a cage, right? Like, these whales are like smarter than us, probably. Like, animals are genuinely smarter than us, I feel like. Oh no.
Trainers were no longer allowed in the water with orcas during their performances and weren't even allowed to touch Tilly. The park was also fined $75,000 by OSHA. And further, in 2013, the release of the documentary Blackfish would expose the darker side of orca captivity, forever tarnishing SeaWorld's reputation. Nonetheless, because of what happened, Tilly's interactions with trainers were heavily restricted, and he was kept largely isolated until his passing in January 2017 at 35 years old. In the end, Dawn's passing remains a tragic reminder of the risks of working with such powerful and unpredictable creatures like Tilly.
We just have a very aggressive resident, and she's going into different rooms. She's got too little, except she's.
They said one of the workers kept doing tricks when the show was supposed to move on, so the well must have got irritated. Yeah, probably. Like, yeah, I'm tired of all this, bruh.
From the kitchen drawer and raising them against the stove.
On May 17th, 2023, a nurse at a Yallambee Lodge aged care home called 000, Australia's emergency hotline. She reported that one of the residents had grabbed 2 kitchen cutting utensils and was wandering through the facility, disturbing others. After multiple failed attempts to persuade the resident to put the objects down, the nurse realized she needed help, fearing someone might get hurt. The resident in question was Claire Nowland, a 95-year-old woman. Claire was well known in her community and led an extraordinary life. For her 80th birthday, she celebrated by going skydiving for the first time.
That's crazy. Skydiving at 80 years old.
Something I've always wanted to do, and I've done it.
At that age, Claire was still active and doing remarkably well, but as the years passed, Claire's health gradually declined. At the age of 90, she moved into the Yallambee Retirement Home in Cooma, New South Wales, and Claire's main deterioration would take place just a couple of months prior to May 17th. During this time, her behavior became increasingly unpredictable and erratic. She had a confrontation with nurses outside. She tried to scale the front gate and got stuck in a tree. And a few days later, Claire got angry and shoved a woman with her walker. She was no longer herself, as Claire had developed dementia, a devastating illness that gradually erases memories, leaving individuals confused about where they are or who they are. Dementia can also lead to aggression, something that would soon have serious consequences. Following the nurse's phone call, emergency services arrived at the facility to assist with the situation. However, strangely, upon their arrival, Claire was nowhere to be found. With no one actively watching her, she seemed to have disappeared. How this happened remains unclear, as the elderly woman had limited mobility and relied on a walker to get around. Even so, the presence of the silverware made her potentially dangerous, and it was unclear how easily she could be disarmed. After all, a single gash could pose a significant risk. So where could she have gone? Well, Claire hadn't actually disappeared. She was just around the corner from those looking for her, as shown in this CCTV footage. And as the group left the area, Claire slowly and quietly moved into the home's treatment room. I should note that by this point, she had put down one of the 2 kitchen utensils she was holding. In any case, with so many people searching for her, she was eventually found. But this is where the case takes a tragic turn. The video on screen shows the emergency responders approaching the treatment room where she was located. Here they asked her to put down the silverware. Seemingly confused, she put down another object she was holding, a pen light, but kept hold of the kitchen utensil. She also began to slowly move toward the responders as they attempted to reason with her. Now, at this point, given how slowly she was moving, one might think that the reasonable response would be to just close the door and wait for her to cooperate, or continue monitoring her from a safe distance. After all, she wasn't in any position to chase anyone, and this approach would minimize risk for everyone involved. However, Senior Constable Christian White, faced with the situation, made a different decision. "Put it down now," he said. "Stop. Now you see this? This is a taser." Christian was in fact holding a taser, and his warning was serious. "You keep coming, you're going to get tased. Stop now. Don't let me give you another warning." And then, stop. Just, nah, bugger it. In less than 3 minutes after finding Claire and attempting to negotiate with her, Christian White deployed his taser. "Got her," he said. Claire immediately collapsed to the ground, and officers approached her to retrieve the dangerous silverware. With Claire on the floor, White crouched beside her, saying, "Claire, come on, you're alright." But Claire was not alright. You see, during her fall, her head had struck the ground, fracturing her skull. She was taken to hospital, but 1 week later, Claire Nowlan succumbed to a brain hemorrhage. Christian White was charged with manslaughter, but pleaded not guilty. He defended his actions by stating that his primary concern was protecting those around him. However, the case's prosecutor argued that a reasonable person would not have considered a dangerous confrontation inevitable, stating, quote, "Mrs. Nowlan's speed meant it took her a minute to shuffle forward a meter before she was tasered." Prosecutors described his actions as utterly unnecessary and obviously excessive, adding that the body camera footage of the incident, which was shown in court but is not available to the public, speaks for itself. It's worth mentioning that the footage was reportedly so distressing that some individuals in the courtroom left after witnessing it. As a result of his actions, White was dismissed from the force and was found guilty of manslaughter. This case is particularly tragic. Claire Nowlan's decline and eventual passing.
That's crazy. That is so crazy. All right. All right, y'all. We gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. You watching this on YouTube? Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this on Twitch, we go live every single day at 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. every single day. So be sure to stop by, say what's up to us, say what's up to the chat. You feel me? And yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Look out for future streams. Look out for future videos on YouTube. Check out Inkstitch if you want to wear this tracksuit. Link in the bio. And yeah, I hope everyone have a good night or a good morning or whatever time of day it is for you. Peace out, y'all. Yeah.